Hi everybody, it's Win. Hi, it's Blitz again. Hello, Daniel. It's Kim Kim. Welcome to another video by the Entropy System. Would it be an Entropy System video without Leia? No, it wouldn't. How do your tastes in media differ from one another, as in film, TV, books, comics, video games, music, podcasts, etc.? Our likes and dislikes don't stay different for very long. Like, if one of us really starts liking something, it'll kind of bleed into everybody else, so that means that we usually get along on how we want to spend our time, which is cool. Michelle loves animal documentaries. That is her thing. Karen is the one that got us into Monster High. Win is super into, like, cringe-ass internet horror. So, like, creepypasta, Five Nights at Freddy's. I say cringe lovingly, by the way. Cringe/respectfully. I'm way more into the war games. I love them. I love playing them. I definitely am more into spooky stuff than everybody else. Even though Win really likes horror, Win prefers cozy. So that's kind of my defining thing. I think the thing that differs most drastically between us is our taste in music. Everybody in the system hates my taste in music. I listen to kind of like whiny boy pop, like Cave Town, Ludo, 21 Pilots. Win has two genres: internet fan music, like Living Tombstone and stuff, and very, very gay, like Rio Romero or Ashnikko. I think I'm the only one who prefers classical music over anything else. Ed likes Amy Winehouse. Everybody else kind of likes more modern stuff. Oh yeah, Kim Kim listens to whatever lets her express her anger to the world. So like, also Ashnikko, or Doja Cat, or Marina and the Diamonds. What's your favorite anime? Do you have any recommendations? I like Psychopaths. That has been kind of my consistent favorite anime for a really long time. I also like Black Butler. Don't judge me. See, here's the thing. My favorite anime are always, like, super trash anime. Like, the ones with all the problematic tropes and stuff. And so, like, I don't know if I want to name titles, because I don't know if I'm ready for the internet to judge me. I don't really have any feelings about any of the shows that we watch, anime included. My favorite anime is absolutely Eurocamp. It's so cozy. Favorite anime this season is something Pooniroo. Pooniroo is a cute slime. It's just cute. It's just cute and wholesome. Sometimes you just gotta take a pile of sugar and shove it in your face, and it makes the world feel nice. Have your feelings towards the YouTube channel changed over the years? If so, how? I mean, when we first started off, I was skeptical. As the years go by, I just love the channel more and more and more. It's a great way to invest in community. It's a great way for us to express ourselves and feel, like, seen. There's not a lot of, like, outside world chances we have to be, like, truly, purely, authentically us. I would just appreciate if we continued to be cautious. That's my only ask. At the time that I left YouTube, I was, like, aggressively trying to mama bear the entire online DID community. Like, I was the one wall between them and any bad thing on the internet that might happen, which is not only, like, really weirdly vain, but also a terribly stressful place to put myself. I did a lot of reevaluating of myself and the way I engage with things online, and I think I see myself now just more as some guy who some people like to listen to and some people don't, and that's fine. I still want to change the world for the better, but I think I have a much more realistic idea of what my role in that goal might be. I am interested, but skeptical. I do like being able to talk to people and not have to pretend I'm Win. So I guess overall, I like the channel. I mean, obviously there was a period of time where it brought more stress than joy, and so we took a break. But for the most part, no, like, our feeling towards this YouTube channel is this is an amazing way to educate people, to connect to members of the community, and to just kind of make the world at least a little better of a place for people like us. Loving the media analysis series as a whole so much. Are there any other series or films, games that you're enjoying at the moment? Can be DID related or not related as well. I mean, again, I really don't have any feelings either way, one way or the other. Arcane just came back. Arcane just dropped, like, this week, as far as, like, this week of recording. Love Arcane so much. Win's on a cozy book kick, which I have also been enjoying. If you haven't read Legends and Lattes, you should probably read Legends and Lattes. It's cute. Everybody's nice to each other. So DID related, Cyberpunk is probably one of our favorite video games ever, and it's not strictly DID, but it's very like DID coded. What's everyone's favorite colors? Oh, pink. Pink without a question. I haven't picked one yet. I'm leaning towards like maroon, but that feels pretentious. I should just say red. I like red, but you would think black. That's kind of a tire between black and baby blue. What's everyone's favorite Halloween candies? We put out these questions right before Halloween, so it was a very timely question. If it's not Reese's, I don't want it. I like Reese's. I like Butterfingers. Those are my two. Harbro gummies. What kind, you ask? Yes. All of them. All of them. Give me the snakes. Give me the bears. Give me the little Coke bottles. Butterfinger. I am weak for gummy candies. Especially those gummy snakes. Like, they're stuck together and like one of them's sweet and one of them's like really bitter. I love those so much. Are there any DID memoirs or books you recommend? We can't read that shit. That's just triggering as hell. I don't think we've read any ever. Not in their entirety anyway. We did read sections of Switching Time. Not a book or a memoir. 60 Minutes Australia did a piece on Jenny Haynes, who is a system that successfully took her abuser to court. They covered her story in an extremely compassionate and balanced way. They do get into some trauma details, so, you know, judge what you are able to hear. Listen, we love that DID memoirs exist. We think they are super important and super informative and educational, and it takes a lot of strength to be able to put that much detail about your life on the page for the world to consume. Just strangers. That's amazing. We do not read them because reading about the trauma, which is a part of every memoir that we're aware of, is massively triggering, and we cannot handle it. Do you ever feel embarrassed / ashamed of your DID / parts? If so, how do you overcome that, and what steps did you take? No. If anything, I'm embarrassed at the general public for not being able to just accept everybody who is a system as a system. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? I just think the more we got to know each other and the more we became vulnerable with one another, the easier it was to accept one another. It's hard to be embarrassed by somebody who you know that well and who supports you and you support them, and embarrassment just goes away at that level of vulnerability. I mean, yeah, especially when, as they were getting to know us, there was embarrassment when one of us would behave especially differently, like behave childishly or dress like this. I did, especially with parts that exhibited traits that society as a whole would not treat kindly, or so I thought. Like the littles. I was like, an adult body acting like a child. People are going to take advantage of that. People are going to think I'm weird or stupid, or, you know. The more connected I got to my system, the more I stopped caring what other people thought or would think about my system, because I love them just the way they are. And if people are going to judge me because of differing behavior, then they don't get to know the beautiful shining stars that each of my headmates are. I don't think I've ever felt embarrassed once in my very short existence. What's your favorite generation of Pokemon? You can't just ask a question like that. I have to say Gen 1 because my all-time favorite Pokemon is Gengar. And so without Gen 1, I wouldn't have my all-time favorite Pokemon. But they're all good. There's no bad. They're all fantastic. And they all, like, all of my other favorite Pokemon are sprinkled throughout every generation. You know, like nutmeg on toast. That's not a thing. For Oz, if he's willing to answer, I am. What are your thoughts on the new penguin incarnation from Cape Crusader, Oswalda? I think that she was a very cool way to show to the watcher that this is a complete reimagining of Batman. It's a very, very different, unique take on the character without losing the principal things that make the penguin the penguin. I think you'll like Ed's answer better. He says that she's a bad bitch and he likes her. I know you play Pokemon. Have you tried Lorcana? It's my first TCG and I'm having a lot of fun. If Lorcana comes out with like a digital version, I might play it, but right now there is a lot of space in my home that is dedicated to storing physical Pokemon and Magic cards. I cannot bring myself to start another physical card game. I've heard great things about it though. Do you have someone in the system who's a primary caretaker of your littles? Who is that? And do the littles live with them, or do they have their own homes, even though they are children? Well, they're not children. They're just parts of our brain that are less mature. I do want to make the important distinction, and this isn't a call out to you, this is just a general thing because I think a lot of people misunderstand this, that littles are not the same as like actual children. No matter their behavior or maturity level, they are still a part of a brain and body that is much, much older than whatever age. So even though they are into childish things and have a lower threshold for stress, and that is why we help take care of them, they are definitely not like children, like actual children. So they can have behaviors and make choices and navigate life in ways that you would never allow an actual child to do, but that's not what the question is asking. I think Kim Kim is the de facto caretaker of the littles. Kim Kim watches Michelle and Karen, and Jacob watches the baby. Win is really the primary caretaker of the littles because the place that they need the most care is in the outer world, reminding them that these outer world stresses are manageable and that Win is going to take care of us all and make sure we get through this unpleasantness fine in the end. So I watch them while they're in the inner world. Jacob will also sometimes, like when we're in a situation that the littles might find especially troubling, usher them to the back, put up a blind wall so that they can't see what's happening when it's happening. As soon as that wall comes down, they get the memory of everything that happened, but they're not there experiencing it in real time. So their emotions don't mix up into how we are reacting to things in real time. Kim Kim and I are the primary caretakers of the littles. And then Jacob is a part of it as well if things get really bad. Kim Kim spoke about the city and the inner world in past tense. Has the inner world changed since a lot has changed before the break from YouTube? If yes, in what ways? How does it look now? It's just not as vivid. It's not as sprawling. No, I mean, the city still exists, but mostly it's just like our apartment complex and like the eye line from how much you can see from the apartment complex. We don't wander the inner world anymore. We don't really access the inner world that much anymore. It's definitely still there. It's not a tool that's utilized as much, so we don't have to be quite as detailed with our creation, but it's still there and it's still beautiful and it's still perpetually nighttime. We don't really use it. We don't really need it. We all just kind of float in a little bubble near the front and pay attention to things that are going around out here, you know, as a unit and whatnot. When you spoke about the inner world, you spoke about NPCs, people who aren't alters but still live in the city in your inner world. Do you talk and do you do stuff with these people? Do you even have a favorite NPC? No. Even when like Kit would there was like a club in the city that Kit would go to and dance, but like even then you weren't actually like interacting and having conversations with the NPCs. They were just kind of there. That is too much effort. Making the NPCs interactable. It's not like NPCs in D&D. Did you ever play Cyberpunk? It's kind of like those NPCs, except a step down, because those will emote when you run into them or pull out a weapon. They are NPCs in the way that if an animator had to create a crowd, they just dropped 100 computer animated blank slates onto the street and called it a day. I don't even think any of them have facial features, like not in like a creepy a monster stole my face type of way, but like in a the animator didn't take the time to fill in these details kind of way. They are just as much visual props as every other detail of the inner world. I have a lot of questions about the inner world. How real is it once you're there? Like, can you feel and smell stuff, or is it only visual, more like a dream? Does everyone in the system see the inner world the same? Ed and I work to make sure that everyone can see and access the inner world equally. That's Ed and my job, is to work to actively, continuously imagine this place. Not that we just sit there and like, but, you know, we thought it up and kind of watch and observe, and if things need to change, we change them, but it, you know, once we set it in place, it kind of runs nicely. We just focus on maintaining it. We definitely see the inner world the same. We can go into each other's rooms, and what we see is the same thing that, you know, what whoever's room that is sees. If I told you to close your eyes right now and smell the lemon right underneath your nose, there would be a part of your brain that fires up and kind of simulates the smell of lemon, but it's not the same as actually smelling a lemon. So yes, we can see, hear, smell, feel things in the inner world, but only to the level that our imagination would allow us to. Kind of just like a souped up visual meditation, like getting lost in a daydream. People with aphantasia going, what? Where do alter names come from? Some are a little more obvious, like fictives, but otherwise, how does an alter know or discover what their name is? Do you just know, or is it an active decision? That's definitely a mix. A lot of us came with names. Some of us chose names. Karen changed her name. Well, for me, the internet. I think the only two that chose their name were myself, and then when Karen changed from Monster to Karen, we were just getting into Bakemonogatari, and so she named herself after Karen from that show, because that Karen was a very strong and capable young lady, and our Karen was like, I want to be like her. I mean, I just knew my name. I didn't choose my name. I came into existence and I had a name. The vast majority of us were given names when we were created, just like we were given various personality traits. The subconscious said it was, and so it was. How many fictives and factives does your system have? And what do you guys like to do as a collective, whether in the inner world or out in the body? I don't like to be out in the body. Do you mean like what do our fictives like to do as a collective? Or what do we as a whole like to do as a collective? We have 3 fictives. We have no factives. But as far as like what we like to do collectively, we normally go in on video games because it's very easy for one of us to jump out and one of us to jump in. Even if our skill level is different, we can all still enjoy them the same. Just finished Dead Space and started Alien Isolation. That's how we pass the time in the evenings. Instead of thinking about the world, we kind of wrap up our day with killing a bunch of aliens or zombies. Take your pick. We do a lot of like zombie shooters. We do Minecraft. Has the headspace changed since the forest appeared and or since altars have fused and formed? I mean, yeah, the forest isn't there anymore. The city's gotten smaller. I mean, the forest doesn't exist anymore because the forest was there for Abigail and all the little like fragments that she was taking care of out there. Those have all fused. She has fused, and so the forest isn't necessary anymore, so it's just a city now. It's gotten smaller. The dimensions of the apartment complex have changed. We've added a meeting room in the center where the elevators used to be. Blitz has a room. Things have changed. The apartment rooms are kind of laid out in a little bit of a different order. We've had fusions and splits, and so they couldn't just stay the same. Do you have family dynamics in the system? Ed and Oz are married. Karen and Jacob are brother and sister. Do Ed and I count? Karen and Jacob are twins who then did not age the same, and so now one is like 40 something probably and one is like 11. And other than that, we're all kind of like family in a way. This is gonna sound silly because we're not a found family because we are the same brain, but it feels like found family in ways. Are there new developments with the baby altar? I don't think there's ever going to be a change with the baby altar. Nope, they'll just exists and sleeps. I don't even think we could call it an altar. It's just kind of a thing that exists, and we know it's its own thing because none of us made it up. We're not going to dig too much into it. We know trauma started young, and that's why it's there, and we don't really need to know more. It has only fronted like I think 3 times ever that we're aware of, and that was only to drift us off into a peaceful sleep. I wish that was a resource we could always access. I don't know what triggers her out. I don't know anything else about her. She sleeps. She exists and she sleeps. How many littles do you have now? 2. Karen and Michelle. Honey does not consider herself a little because most of the time she is like pre-teenage. 2. I say that because Honey is an age slider. Just 2. Sometimes 3. Honey's an age slider. I think she mostly hangs out like between 12 and 14 though, so like middle territory, not really little territory. What are the pros and cons of being an introject, if you have any in your own personal experience? I don't know. It's uncomfortable knowing that me and my source are so different, so I just try not to think about my source at all. Source me is very like outspoken and loud, and I'm just kind of shy in here. I don't like coming out in the real world and talking to people. I can do this because this is with a camera. So I just try to focus on the fact that I'm me, and that's okay. Cons. Wynn is nervous to draw me because it's just gonna look like generic Hell of a Boss fan art. They want to change how I look for art purposes. I'm like, that's not me then. The pros is I can project myself onto all that awesome fan art that exists out there in the forms of drawings and music and figurines. That's not fan art, that's like official merch, but you get what I mean. And I get to be like, oh my god, it's me. Who's the headmate you're closest to, for Daniel specifically? Win and Kim Kim? Even when the headspace gets very blurry and it's hard to talk to each other, we're usually able to reach out and find one another. Since you're the introject of an animated character, does your appearance in the inner world look more two-dimensional, or do you look like a personified version of the character? Think like Roger Rabbit. Like, I exist three-dimensionally in the space, but I definitely look animated. Like, I look like the cartoon. I look like a cartoon in the headspace. How do you deal with the loneliness of not having your friends / family from your world with you in this one? I'm not my source, so those are cartoon characters, and I was based on a cartoon character, but I am not a cartoon character. Well, Ed would have had to figure that out, except he was too stubborn for it, and he made me. So neither of us feel left out because the person that we love is there with us. How has Blitz been acclimating to the system? That's me! Do you have your own apartment in the headspace, or do you share one, or live in a different place altogether? Yeah, no, Ed and Oz made me an apartment. It's very similar to the one that my source has in the cartoon. I'm not sure if I like that, and before anybody asks, no, there's no extra room for Luna, and Luna is not an NPC. I am not my source. I just have a really shitty rundown apartment with a broken couch and a tiny TV. For Ed and Oz, I will answer on behalf of us both. How did you change the inner world so drastically from a small island into a bustling city? Does one only need to will the change into existence? I don't know why some of us have powers to do things in the inner world and some of us don't. The others have tried to alter the inner world in even small ways, and it was unsuccessful, but Ed and I do it with ease. The only thing I can say is the subconscious needed someone to do that, and so it made someone with that skill. And that is the last question. Thanks for watching! What was the most surprising answer that you heard? Let us know! And if you have DID or OSDD, are over the age of 18, and are looking for a free community to join, please consider joining our channel sponsor, Dissociative.cafe. It's a blog and talk forum made by systems for systems, and all in all, it's just a really pleasant environment to be a part of. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons who help make our channel possible, and a big thank you to the Electric Circus, Shimron, Disco Delirium, Sarah Beers, Sarah G, and Will Mitchell. If you'd like to join our Patreon community, a link is in our description below. And the next one, we're going to talk about our real life and our internet life. Watch it! And remember, you are loved, you are valuable, and you are valid. Take care. Bye.